Have you ever felt like you're drowning in your studies? Like the to-do list never ends and the stress just keeps piling up? You're not alone. Many students face confusion, a loss of interest in their subjects, and immense pressure to meet high standards. This feeling gets worse when it seems like knowledge is trapped in textbooks and has no connection to real life. This feeling isn't just in your head. Data shows that overall academic preparedness is declining, and many students feel unready for the demands of college, even if they had good grades in high school. You might be one of the many who feel this gap between high school expectations and the tough reality of higher education. Other challenges add to the pressure. Financial uncertainty forces nearly 65% of students to work, with many working over 20 hours a week, which has been proven to negatively affect academic performance. Add mental health issues to the mix. More than 60% of students meet the criteria for at least one mental health disorder, and you have a perfect storm of stress, anxiety, and burnout. This struggle isn't a sign of personal failure. It's a symptom of the immense pressure modern students face. But there's good news. Simple, science-backed methods can help you regain control, study smarter, not harder, and free up time for your life. This guide will show you how to build an effective study system from the ground up, using only the most accessible and proven tools. The unbreakable foundation of learning. Before we get into specific techniques, we need to lay the foundation. Without it, any method is like building a house on sand. The most powerful tools for improving your studying aren't complex apps or secret life hacks. They are 3 simple things you do every day: sleep, eat, and move. Let's see how to turn them into your main competitive advantage. Superfuel for your brain: sleep, food, and movement. Many people think of sleep, proper nutrition, and exercise as things that take time away from studying. In reality, they are the most important part of the learning process. Your brain is a biological machine, and for it to work at peak performance, it needs the right fuel and maintenance. Ignoring this means intentionally sabotaging your own efforts. Sleep is not passive rest. It's when your brain is actively working to consolidate memories and process the information you've learned during the day. A study from MIT showed that consistent, quality sleep over a month is far more important for final grades than sleep the night before an exam. Trying to catch up on sleep the night before a test is practically useless. Chronic sleep deprivation directly impairs all the cognitive functions necessary for studying: attention, concentration, logical thinking, and problem-solving skills. Instead of sacrificing sleep for an extra hour of cramming, consider 7-9 hours of quality sleep as the most effective study session of the day. This is when your brain turns short-term knowledge into long-term memory. Similarly, nutrition directly affects your ability to concentrate. Diets high in sugar and unhealthy fats lead to sharp energy spikes and crashes, making it impossible to maintain focus. A balanced diet rich in fruits, vegetables, protein, and healthy fats provides the brain with a steady flow of energy for sustained concentration. Don't forget to drink enough water. Dehydration also reduces cognitive function. Physical activity is another powerful tool. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain, improves mood by releasing endorphins, and reduces stress levels. Regular physical activity promotes the growth of new neurons and strengthens the connections between them, which directly improves your ability to learn and remember. An hour at the gym isn't lost time, it's an investment in the productivity of your next few hours of studying. Your fortress of focus, creating the ideal study zone. Your environment isn't just a backdrop. It's an active tool that can either help you focus or constantly distract you. Creating the right study environment is the first step to making concentration automatic, rather than something that requires constant willpower. This is your personal fortress, designed for deep work. The key principle is to create a dedicated study space. This could be a desk in the corner of your room, a spot in the library, or any other space that your brain will associate exclusively with studying. When you enter this zone, your brain automatically switches into work mode. This space should be quiet, well lit, and, very importantly, organized and free of clutter. It's critical that your study space is separate from your relaxation and sleeping area. Working in bed is one of the worst habits because it blurs the lines between work and rest, which can lead to sleep problems and decreased productivity. Your brain needs to clearly understand the bed is for sleeping and the study desk is for studying. Now for the main enemy of focus, multitasking. It's time to admit it, multitasking is a myth. The human brain is not capable of performing multiple complex tasks at the same time. What we call multitasking is actually rapid switching between tasks, task switching. Every switch comes at a cost. Studies show that when we try to do several things at once, we make up to 4 times more mistakes, and it takes 50% longer to complete a task. This happens because the brain has to reboot each time, unloading the rules for the old task and loading the rules for the new one. This process burns valuable mental energy, glucose, leading to quick fatigue and brain fog. Students who are constantly distracted by their phones and social media during classes or while doing homework tend to have lower GPAs. The feeling of productivity while multitasking is an illusion that masks deep inefficiency. By giving it up and focusing on one task at a time, monotasking, you will immediately free up cognitive resources, reduce errors, and start getting work done faster. The simple toolkit for effective learning. Once a solid foundation is in place, you can move on to the tools. You don't need dozens of complex systems. A few simple but incredibly powerful techniques based on how our brain actually works are enough. These methods will help you manage your time, remember information for the long term, and truly understand, not just memorize, the material. Time management with the Pomodoro technique. The hardest part of any task is starting. Procrastination often arises because a task seems huge and overwhelming. The Pomodoro technique is not so much a time management tool as it is a psychological trick that helps you fool your brain and overcome that initial resistance. The principle is ridiculously simple. You choose one task. You set a timer for 25 minutes and work on that task without any distractions. When the timer rings, you take a short 5-minute break. After 4 such cycles, Pomodoros, you take a longer break of 15-30 minutes. What's the magic? You change your goal. Instead of the daunting task of writing a 10-page essay, your goal becomes simple and specific. Work on the essay for just 25 minutes. This is such a small commitment that the brain has almost no reason to resist it. The guaranteed break after 25 minutes serves as an immediate reward, which further lowers the emotional barrier. It's important to understand that the 25-5 interval is just a starting point, not a rigid rule. Some people find it easier to focus for longer periods like 45 minutes of work and 15 minutes of rest. Don't be afraid to experiment and find a rhythm that works for you. The main thing is the principle itself. Short, focused work segments alternating with regular breaks for recovery. The science of memory, active recall, and spaced repetition. Stop just rereading your notes. Passive reading and highlighting are some of the most ineffective ways to remember information. For information to truly stick in your long-term memory, your brain has to make an effort. The most effective way to make it do that is to use a 2-part system, active recall and spaced repetition. Active recall is the process of pulling information from your memory rather than just reabsorbing it. Every time you force yourself to remember something, you strengthen the neural pathways leading to that knowledge. It's like beating a path in a forest. The more you walk it, the clearer and more accessible it becomes. Simple ways to practice active recall include using flashcards, trying to summarize the content of a chapter in your own words without looking at the text, or explaining a concept to a friend. The key is to close the book and make your brain work. It's hard, but it's this difficulty that makes learning effective. Spaced repetition is the second half of this system. It's a strategy of reviewing information at increasing intervals. The idea is based on the forgetting curve. We start to forget information almost immediately after we learn it. Spaced repetition interrupts this process at the most optimal moment, forcing you to recall information just as it's about to fade from memory. A simple and flexible schedule for spaced repetition might look like this. You review the material 1 day after learning it, then 3 days later, then a week later, and then 2 weeks after that. Active recall is what you do, retrieve information, and spaced repetition is when you do it. Together, they create an incredibly powerful system for long-term memory that far surpasses hours of cramming the night before an exam. The ultimate test of understanding, the Feynman Technique. Have you ever thought you understood a topic perfectly, only to find you couldn't explain it in simple words? This is called the illusion of competence. The Feynman Technique is a simple but brilliant method that shatters this illusion and helps you achieve a deep, genuine understanding of the material. Its essence can be summed up in one phrase: if you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it. The technique consists of 4 steps. First, take a blank sheet of paper and write the name of the concept you want to learn at the top. The second, most important step is to explain this concept in writing using the simplest language possible, as if you were explaining it to a child. Avoid complex jargon and technical terms. The third step, as you explain, you will inevitably hit points where you get stuck, can't find a simple word, or have to use a complex term because you don't understand its essence. These are your knowledge gaps. You've just performed an accurate diagnosis of your understanding. Go back to the source material and study these specific weak spots until you can explain them simply. The fourth step, go back to your explanation and simplify it even more. Try using analogies and examples. When your explanation becomes simple, clear, and concise, you can be sure you truly understand the topic. This method forces you not just to memorize facts, but to build connections between ideas and see the big picture, which is the foundation of true mastery. The psychological game: how to beat procrastination for good. Procrastination is not a sign of laziness or a lack of willpower. Most often, it's our brain's defense mechanism against stress, fear of failure, or the feeling that a task is too big and overwhelming. To beat procrastination, you don't need to force yourself to work harder, but rather use smart strategies that reduce this internal resistance and make the first step easy and natural. From mountain to molehill, the power of decomposition. The main reason we put things off is that the task seems huge, like a mountain. The brain looks at this mountain and decides it's better not to start climbing at all. The solution is to turn the mountain into a series of small, manageable molehills. This process is called decomposition, or breaking a task down into smaller steps. Instead of putting "prepare for the history exam" on your to-do list, break it down into specific, actionable steps. For example, read and summarize Chapter 1, make 20 flashcards for dates, find 3 additional sources for the essay topic. Each of these subtasks seems much less intimidating. The key here is to focus on the next physical action. When you think about writing a term paper, your brain pictures a huge and stressful final result. Ask yourself, what is the simplest physical action I can take right now to move forward? The answer might be, open a new Word document and write the title. This action is so simple and effortless that the brain has no reason to resist it. But once you've done it, you're already in the process of working. Completing each small step gives you a sense of satisfaction and creates momentum that helps you move on to the next step. This way, step by step, you conquer the entire mountain without even noticing it. The 2-minute rule, your secret weapon for taking action. To amplify the effect of decomposition and make starting work almost inevitable, use the 2-minute rule. There are actually 2 of them, and they work together to eliminate both the external and internal friction that prevents you from starting. The first rule, from productivity expert David Allen, states, if a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. This rule is designed to combat the small tasks that clutter your space and mind. Answering a short email, clearing your desk, taking out the trash. By doing these tasks right away, you free up mental energy for more important things. The second rule, popularized by James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, says, when you start a new habit or a big task, it should take less than 2 minutes. This rule is aimed at overcoming resistance when starting large projects. Read the textbook becomes open the book and read 1 page. Workout becomes put on your gym clothes. The goal is to make the first step so ridiculously easy that you have no reason to say no. Once you've started, inertia comes into play. It's much easier to continue doing what you're already doing. These 2 rules together create an environment ready for action. The first removes distractions, and the second eliminates the psychological barrier to starting the main task, creating a powerful momentum against procrastination. The finish line, how to ace your exams with confidence. Preparing for exams is a marathon, not a sprint. But even if you've been training throughout the semester, the final weeks require a special strategy. At this stage, your goal is not to learn something new, but to organize, strengthen, and test your knowledge. The 2 most powerful tools for this are creating condensed summary notes and taking practice tests. condense to conquer, creating powerful final review notes. Creating a final summary or a cheat sheet for the mind is not a passive act of rewriting information. It's an active learning process that forces you to deeply process the material. The main value of this method lies not in the final document, but in the process of creating it. The process should look like this. First, you carefully read your notes in the textbook to fully understand the topic. Then, you identify the key ideas, formulas, and concepts, discarding secondary details and examples. And the most important step, you put all the materials aside and try to express these key ideas in your own words on 1 or 2 sheets of paper. This act of rephrasing and structuring information is a powerful form of active recall. You're not just copying, you're retrieving concepts from your memory and organizing them into a logical system. It is this process of synthesis that builds deep understanding. The final summary note is just a useful byproduct of this much more valuable mental exercise. The dress rehearsal, using practice tests to eliminate surprises. The best way to prepare for a test is to take a test. Practice exams are one of the most effective preparation methods because they force you to practice active recall under conditions that are as close to the real thing as possible. This is a dress rehearsal that prepares you not only intellectually, but also psychologically. First, practice tests are the perfect diagnostic tool. They show you exactly which topics you know well and where you have gaps. This allows you to direct your remaining time to targeted study of the areas that need more attention, instead of rereading familiar material over and over again. Second, simulating real exam conditions, working in silence with a time limit helps you manage anxiety and teaches you to allocate your time effectively. When you walk into the actual exam, the environment no longer feels unfamiliar and intimidating. You've already lived it several times and know what to expect. For maximum effectiveness, the format of the practice test should match the format of the real exam. For example, if the exam consists of multiple choice questions, you should practice with the same type of questions. Practice tests transform you from a passive learner into an active performer, exactly the mindset needed for success on an exam. Conclusion: you have everything you need to succeed. Effective learning is not an innate talent available only to a select few. It is a skill that can be developed. You don't need to be a genius or have superhuman willpower. You just need the right strategies, simple, consistent, and based on how your brain actually works. All the methods described in this guide, from getting proper sleep to the Feynman Technique, are accessible to everyone and require nothing more than your desire to change your approach. Don't try to implement everything at once. This can lead to the same feeling of being overwhelmed that you're trying to get rid of. Instead, choose just one technique that seems simplest or most relevant to you. It could be the Pomodoro technique, the 2-minute rule, or simply deciding to sleep an hour longer. Try applying just that one for a week. See what changes. Small victories create momentum for big changes. You can study better, spend less time on it, and feel calmer and more confident. Start today.